This meeting back to session. Jackie, roll call.
Kristen Bailey.
Here.
Nick Atwood.
Here.
Steve Byers.
Here.
Jose Jaquez.
Here.
Christopher Boyce.
Here.
Mark Sherbat.
Here.
Dante Bynum. Here. Maria Bello Rodriguez.
All right. Pledge of Allegiance is the first thing we'll start with. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first thing we'll move into is public participation. Public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals, and do we have any public comments? No public comments. Do we have some board correspondence? Okay. And we did not hear anything from Maria, so we have nothing on that front. We'll move into the public hearing. We're now going to open the public hearing on the adoption of our levy in conformance to the requirements of the Truth in Taxation Act. So I now open this hearing. Do there any members of the public who would like to speak at this time? Hearing no comments from the public, I will now close this hearing. And then we will move into the consent agenda. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items 5B through 5J. Approval of board minutes from the 18th, 24th, December 2nd, December 3rd, December 4th, December 6th. Personnel items, purchase order requisitions, payroll for November, accounts payable for December, financial reports, employment contract for an elementary restorative dean, Sunbelt staffing agreement, and disposal of surplus equipment as presented and or amended. Is there anything on this that we have any questions about before we vote on it?
I do have one item for the restorative dean contract. One of the provisions of the contract refers to performance goals that are, it says on the sheet that we have in front of us that was published to the public that they are to be attached to this agreement. Want to find out when we can see those goals, since this is obviously something that whoever, the individual we're hiring is going to be signing. And this is the restorative dean, of course, for Mitchell. Is that correct on that? Okay. Do we know when those goals are going to be published or made? I think it's important for the public to see that, since it's part of the contract and it's not attached. Or at least our process involved with this would be very helpful.
Goals for all administrators are established after they are in the position, and established with, they work with that individual, the administrator and the evaluator to establish those goals. So that does not happen until after they're hired.
So the individual is not informed of the goals of the position? It just seems like if you're taking a job, you would want to know what's expected of you.
So the goals of the position are the goals of the district overall. But they, in the performance evaluation process, there are specific goals specific to each administrator. Those are the goals that it's referring to.
Okay, but these goals will be part of the contract when the individual signs the contract, because it says attached here, so.
They will be after the individual starts, and then they work with their evaluator,
Okay.
the building administrator, to establish the goals.
Okay, you just said made part of this agreement, so the wording on here is,
Yep, we can work on that.
can work on that.
You can absolutely work on that.
thank you, appreciate it.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second?
Jackie, roll call.
Nick Atwood.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
Mark Sherbat.
Yes.
Dante Bynum. Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
All right, moving into old business. Adoption of the tax levy 2025 tax year. As recommended, the Board of Education adopt the 2025 tax levy as presented on the certificate of tax levy. We'll do the motion second, and then we'll have discussion of the motion on the floor. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, do we have discussion on the motion on the floor?
Yes, we do. I would like the board to consider, I know we had consensus, not a vote, we had consensus on option option 3 at the prior meeting. I would like the board to consider option number 2. Now, last time, of course, I wanted option number 4, which was to hold the taxpayer harmless. But option 2, I think, would be reasonable for the taxpayer. Right now, as we're looking at it right now, taxpayers on a house, let me look at the numbers here. Sorry, I gotta put on glasses here. Home value of $250K, which is your standard home in DeKalb Township. If we go with the consensus from the last meeting, would see an increase of their tax bills of $350. If you live in Malta, with the multiplier of 12.48%, you're looking at an increase of probably closer to like $450. I would be willing to consider option number 2, which still gets the district, instead of $85.299 million, $83.299 million, knowing that at the budget that we approved, on the day that we approved the budget, we were able to come up with cuts in the budget of 1.5 million thereabouts in a matter of hours before the board meeting. I think between now and when this goes into effect, we would have time to look at perhaps either further cuts to bring us to that amount, or, as you all know, we just the city actually approved a data center, which is gonna bring in $20 million approximately, if you use comparatives to what Meta's bringing in right now. So we're gonna be sitting on a lot more money. So I would like to do something a little bit better for the taxpayer. This is still an increase. We're the big dogs here on your tax bill. We're gonna hit people the hardest with this particular tax levy. I would like to propose option number 2, and I think JJ mentioned something similar to this at the last meeting, at least considering it, so I'll defer to him on that. I would like to make a motion to consider option 2 and maybe put it up for discussion amongst the board.
Well, one of the problems that, I mean, this is, Amir, if you can hop up real quick, the question of, when is this actually due? Is it due to be submitted and published and everything else? Like tomorrow, right?
It is on the last Tuesday of December. However,
Okay.
we have to work with the county's open offices. We should be able to, I would say I believe they're closing Christmas, but we wanted this as soon as we can.
Right. I was the one that just couldn't make up my mind, so I've made up my mind a little bit better, is what my dream would be option 2, but I also understand where we're at. I'd like it to go down there eventually, but even if we went to like halfway between 3 and 2, so would that be 4.78-ish, 76-ish? Just because we came in here and you know, with the bulldozer and everybody in that back room's like, wait, what just hit us? And it's the 4 of us coming at one time. I think if they can plan for a year to know that we're gonna be a little more strict on some stuff, we're gonna expect a little bit more, less discretionary spending kind of stuff. I think it's fair to give them more time to adapt to that than 5 months.
I just want to bring something up. I think it's very important for all of us to remember that, number one, we are reducing to a level of which would leave us with a very small margin to be able to afford things that currently tariffs and costs are rising. So by reducing any further, if there is a change in cost or any kind of change, any lower, we would not have any cushion to be able to make up that difference. Now, I heard the data center, but it's gonna take us a few years before we get that kind of
That's
money.
understandable, but what I'm pointing out is, you know, we also have some of the biggest reserves around. So if we were to take part of that from the reserves until we get to the point where the data center money is coming in from, I have no problem with that either. This is just a huge jump compared to what we've had in past years. It's gonna hit people hard.
I hear what you're saying, and it makes sense, but this board has also approved for the building of an ELDC and the renovations at Huntley. So the funding that we're using is going to be coming from there to begin with.
Right.
And a reserve, it's, the fund balance that we keep is to ensure that we can pay our staff. With the fund balance that we currently have, as it stands at this moment without using any of it, we can pay 6 months of salary if something occurs at the state and federal level. By us reducing it any further, would this mean that we would have less to be able to pay our staff to continue? Considering we're the third largest employer in DeKalb, without us being able to pay them would be detrimental to town and detrimental to our staff. Now, I'm hopeful, right, that that's not the case, but I don't want us to play with money that could end up hurting the district and the community at some point. Now, I understand where you're going with the additional funds that'll be coming in. I think that, I'm just gonna say, you know, there needs to be a sense of trust that says that this time around, allow us to take what we're asking for, and then as those monies come online, then we will make good on reducing what we can, right, for our taxpayers. Nobody, and, you know, that includes me too, right? So I pay those taxes as well. But at this point, last year, we were right there, we didn't take a cushion, and we got hit with transportation costs and a couple of other things. This year, if we reduce any further, there's no cushion as well, then that means that once again, if there is something that costs have gone up, we're trying to get ahead of something so that we don't end up paying tariffs, it could end up hurting the district in the long run. So that's part one. Part two is that every time we lower it, the state sees that. So when I got here, we were a tier 1. That year that I got here, we became tier 1. We've been then moved to tier 2, now we're tier 3. And that's because the state says, you're supposed to collect all this money. They don't know that we lower our levy, that we abate, and we do that. They don't see that. All they see is the total amount of money that's supposed to come to us. So they think, oh, they're getting $99 or $98 million, whatever it is. We're not collecting that all. So they say, you don't need all the other money. So they reduce what we get for EBF. Right,
I'm familiar with that.
so that balance of those two things, we have to be strategic, so that at the end, it doesn't, we're not, you know, cutting the hand that feeds us either, right? For those of us that live here, but at the same time, understanding that, that right now, time is a little cumulative, and we have to watch what economics looks like over the course of this next year. Now, when that data center comes in and we get those $20 million, then I think that would be easily a better time to offset. Because now we have that money in hand and we can offset that with that. But knowing that if we do that again, the state of Illinois will probably make us a tier 4, which means we get even less money from the state, right? So every time we do that, that's what we're doing. We're risking that and then not being able to ask for top tier money, right? Again, this is us wanting to make sure that we're playing on a field that makes sense for the district while not hurting us. And I think that there will be a moment, you just have to give us some time to actually collect it.
Okay, so if we were to levy, let's say we went with the option that the board brought consensus with, option 3 at the 3 million. Come March, when the assessments are final and the final numbers are put through, we can abate, can't we? Can we further abate to get us down to that number? So
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can. So one of the things, I'm sorry, and I'm
No, that's
answering
okay,
for you.
no.
But Amir and I had that plan. We had a conversation about what that looks like. So if we end up getting lucky like we did last year, and we're able to get a little bit more money and it makes sense, then at that time we can make an adjustment for that, so that so the public gets what they need, right? But now it gives us that pillow, that little comfort level to make sure that we're hitting it and we can see what happens over the next 3 months. I think that's a fair request.
Well, I think over 3 months, I'd be okay with that, in that we look at areas we would have time to look at further areas we could trim, perhaps to get us down to that level as well, so.
So I'll say this to you, I'm finding it hard pressed to look that way, but I promise you that as we're moving into March 1st, which is when principals request their next year's
Right.
numbers and everybody else,
Right.
and I'll tell you, I've been hard on them every year. So I'll make sure that we are looking hard at that so that it doesn't end up costing us any more money, right? And that way, maybe, that way we can try to alleviate something in March. Okay, so just allow us that time, that little space to try to figure that out.
I think it would be prudent to wait to March, because I've been thinking about this a lot too, because I like the idea of giving, about $125 back to taxpayers, like if we can, but right now, we don't know enough about what it's gonna look like in 3 months, because, we had operational costs go up with the health insurance, we've got a major salary bump to the collective bargaining units happening, so I fear, levying less now, and then after property tax appeals come through, we could end up with a lower EAV, and we still don't know what's gonna happen with a lot of the federal title funding, so like, in March, we'll have a clearer picture of what those things look like, and I think, I think it's important that we kind of hold where we're at now, but I think we look strongly at what we might be able to do then, and I think we're all willing to be flexible, because, we don't have to set anything in stone until March technically, right? So that's just kind of where I've been, because I think it's gonna be tough for everybody this year because of, EAVs have gone up and all the taxing bodies even holding flat. It's gonna be $700 or $800 for a lot of people on their tax bills, so we'll just have to see where we're at, but I feel like if we under levy now, like, then we could be really stuck. And that's not responsible for long-term tax planning either. And the data center, which we didn't know about when we talked about this last time, it's still like 6 years at best case scenario from when it'll be fully online, so anything could happen between now and then, so, and I do think that's the best time for us to offer the real meaningful drop in the levy rate, but I'm sensitive to what you're saying, and I think we should absolutely be looking at it again in the spring, but I'm just not comfortable setting it now and then being in a worse position when that comes, and then surprising people or something like that with a higher tax bill at that time.
Can I just ask a question for my own clarification, and it's probably mostly gonna be for you. So obviously, right now, we are taking the monies collected from Meta and putting that towards ELDC. Obviously, the construction of a building is we spent our $40-ish million. We don't have to rebuild ELDC every year on out in perpetuity. So I know with the insurance cost and the loss of the mileage reimbursement, I'm just in my mathing that about 10 million of that money kind of is already spoken for in those increased costs. Is that then other $9.6 million that we receive from Meta every year already spoken for?
19.
Well, what I'm meaning
Oh, the
is that
10,
the
I see,
19, because the 10's already going towards, I'm assuming, the insurance and the mileage
Sure,
for the
sure, sure.
buses. Is that extra 9.6 then, and I have no idea what it costs to run ELDC, but I'm assuming it's not gonna be a full 9.6 million for one building a year.
Right.
Is that money then already accounted for in another place that we need to spend it, or is that money, once ELDC is built, will be freed in our budget?
So, if you don't mind. We have done a cost analysis of some of the things that we're talking about in building the district forward, as long as the board allows us to do that. And if we were to, pretty much what the funding looks like, if over the course of the next 3 years with the money that we've already set aside, and in the next 3 years, we should be able to cost out a lot of the things that we're hoping to do to get the facilities where they need to be able to move into the Vision 428. If and when it gets approved by the board. If that happens, that's 3 years. After that, all of that money is extra, right? So that money, that's just Meta money, but now we're also getting Amazon money, we'll get the hotel money, and then we're gonna get craft money. None of that money has been put into that. We're thinking about using it, which will then reduce the amount of money that we need to go to the taxpayer for. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
So eventually then that money, when we've costed those things out and paid those things out in 3 years, aside from paying for the cost of the high school, because we still have to pay that, right? Then all that other money will go on top of that. We can then begin even to further reduce. That's the game plan. That's what we've talked about. Now, that's my commitment sitting here. You have a new, when you have a new superintendent, the new superintendent has to decide that that's what it's gonna be. But if that's what the board says and then moves forward, then it makes sense. That makes us not just a district being fiscally responsible, and I prefer that be first, not that I'm not trying to hold the taxpayer harmless, but we have to be fiscally responsible for what we are charged to do. And then on top of that, we're gonna be holding the taxpayer even, more, what's the word I'm looking for? Less harmless, more harmless, less,
In a better financial
Thank you, in a better
position.
financial position, right? We'll be giving them financial relief, how about that, right? So it's just, again, it's just kind of the waiting for the money to come, to get those things out and then move forward. And we've costed out at like 3 years, is that right? Like 3 years in, by 2029? Yeah, by the time 2029 comes around, we won't have any of those costs that we have to pay for, and then that money will be money that we can then use for that. So, Mark, you wanna keep joining the board, so make sure that we get that done.
So I just want to be clear with the option that the board brought consensus to last time. So we're going to go from last year's 77.6 to 85.3 million in terms of dollars collected from the
The
taxpayer.
difference?
No, that we're going from, so what does that amount to as far as an increase?
The
From
net levy, it's like almost 9 million, 8 million.
No, percentage wise, I mean, what's that percentage wise? From 77 to 85,
The $8 million, about
It's the-
$7.5 million.
that's about
Yeah.
10% or no?
Yeah, it's about 9.5,
Yeah,
which
okay.
is the appreciation of property
Okay.
values.
Just remember that also includes the money that we have to pay the difference for transportation and for all of the other things that we got cut short on that we didn't realize was gonna be hitting us at that time. Because we didn't have the additional funds.
Right.
Which it doesn't even cover that entire amount, because it's like 10 or 11 million dollars between the transportation reimbursement that we're getting, the increase in the salaries, and then the insurance hit that we also took, so it's like, we're not banking that, essentially, it's kind of already spoken for in our obligations, so.
So just to summarize for the public, I mean, and this is not just us, so the city did the same thing. The county's the only one that's not doing this. They're keeping their dollar amount close. I don't know how they're doing it, but somehow they're doing it. So basically, everybody's tax bills this year are gonna go up, at least if you live in DeKalb Township, about 10% total, so, including the district. So the district share increase based on this, what does it say? $350 more for the average $250,000 house, so, which is the average house. We had that other example a few weeks ago.
In this
so-
moment in time.
Right, at this moment in time. It could fluctuate based on appeals before the Board of Review, so, okay. Like I said, that's just a huge hit, it's gonna hit people hard, but anyway, just making my point.
I hear you.
All right then, at this point, are we ready to take a vote? Jackie, roll call.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Jose Jaquez,
Yes.
Christopher Boyd,
Yes.
Mark Servat,
No,
Dante Bynum, Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood.
Just to be clear, we're voting on the recommended rate, is that what we're voting
Correct.
on? Okay, yes. Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
All right.
Did you say yes?
B and C are pretty much just in line with A, so it is recommended the Board of Education approve the resolution transferring funds for the operation and maintenance fund to the district, to the bond fund of the district, and abating taxes heretofore levied for the year 2025 to pay debt service on outstanding bonds of the district. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Jose Jaquez,
Yes.
Christopher Boyd,
Yes.
Mark Servat,
no,
Dante Bynum, Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Item C, it is recommended the Boards of Education approve resolution approving certification to the county clerk of the 2025 levy below maximum amount permitted under PTEL. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Christopher Boyd,
Yes.
Mark Servat,
no,
Dante Bynum, Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Item D, differential committee recommendations. It is recommended that Board of Education approve the recommendations from the differential committee meeting held on October 9th, 2025, totaling $29,750.39. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Mark Servat,
yes,
Dante Bynum, Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Christopher Boyd.
Yes. Item E, Shape America, the Society of Health and Physical Educators Convention and Expo. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the travel for our district PE coordinator to attend the Shape America Conference in Kansas City, Missouri. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Vante Bynum,
Yes.
Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Jose Jaquez,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
Mark Sherbat.
Yes.
F, Courageous Principals Leadership Development. It is recommended the Board of Education approve up to 15 administrators to attend Courageous Principals Professional Development at Deloitte from February 27th through March 1st. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Yes, all right, discussion on this.
Yes. Later in the agenda, there's another thing for the courageous principals. I know there's no surprises, I'm sorry, but can you explain the difference? 'Cause I don't understand.
Sure. So, we were able to receive additional funding in our title money that then now allows us to send the rest of the staff that hasn't gone to Courageous Principals 2, which are our coordinators and our managers in the content level. So this will allow us to be able to send them. So on the new side, that's who we're asking for now.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Jackie, roll call.
Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Jose Jaquez,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Mark Sherbat,
Yes.
Vante Bynum.
Item G, Agreement Scope of Work DHS and NIU P20 Engagement, Illinois MTSS Network. It is recommended the Board of Education approve for DHS to enter into an agreement with NIU for their P20 Illinois MTSS Network to further strengthen their practices and school improvement plan strategies. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Jose Jaquez,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Mark Sherbat,
Yes.
Vante Bynum. Yes. Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
Item H, DHS High School A Cappella Choir Field Trip Request to Port Washington, Wisconsin. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the DHS Choir A Cappella to attend the Port Washington High School Acapocalypse Festival on April 10th through the 11th in Port Washington, Wisconsin. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Jaquez,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Mark Sherbat,
Yes.
Vante Bynum. Yes. Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood.
Yes.
Item I, Travel Request Professional Development Secondary GLAD Training. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the travel for secondary staff to attend GLAD training. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Jose Jaquez,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Mark Sherbat,
Yes.
Vante Bynum. Yes. Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
All right. New business, item A. This is information only, Southern Illinois University Educational Affiliation Agreement. This is presented to us by Deidre Salz, Director of Human Resources.
Good evening. Southern Illinois University reached out to us because they have a student that would like to student teach in our district. We have not had an agreement with them, at least within recent years, so this agreement is. Oh, sorry. I'm like, I didn't touch anything.
You're in control.
This agreement is what we would operate off of when we have student teachers that come to us and guide us in that process. It has been reviewed by both both Human Resources and our attorney.
All right. Does anyone have any questions? Hearing no questions, we have consensus to bring this back.
Yes.
Item B is the 26-27 academic school calendar, also presented to us by Deidre Salz.
So the school calendar is developed and created by our Professional Relations Committee. That includes members of DCTA as well as myself, and we work together in creating a drafted calendar. We then take that calendar and we bring it to our cabinet, all of our directors, and the superintendent, and review it to determine if that meets our needs for the upcoming school year. We've worked through this over the last few months, and we finally come to an agreement on a calendar for the 26-27 school year that we are bringing forward to you. You will see there are two attachments. One is for the traditional school year, and the other is for our ELDC calendar, Early Learning and Development Center.
One quick question, just so that I kind of understand. Once we approve this calendar, that locks us in for 26-27, correct?
It
So-
does and it doesn't. We're still early enough where if the governor or Illinois school code makes some kind of change that we have to make a change, we still have enough time to do so. It actually gets submitted to ISB, but not until
May 1st.
yeah, May 1st. So we have time to tweak and make changes. Even after the school year, if we're told we have to make changes, we can. But we like to get this out so that families can start planning any and everything that they need to plan for the upcoming school year.
Right.
I see we have emergency days. Are we still doing the remote learning sometimes and? if
E-learning.
necessary? Yeah.
Yep, so that is our preferred method when there are things that come up, whether it's weather or something going on in a particular building or within the city. Our preferred options are e-learning so that our students don't get, don't lose the opportunity to continue learning. So that is the plan, but if something occurs and e-learning does not work for us, we still have those emergency days in place.
I just want to make sure that we're clear, the superintendent is the one that does that, right? So if the weather is that bad or it's ridiculous, then, you know, there's an opportunity for us to just shut down. We could do that, but any day that we close down has to be after we've already used all of our remote learning days, right? So once we've used a remote learning day, we have to use all of them before we can then take an act of God and close without using a remote learning day. Does that make sense? Okay, so we can't just say, oh, we're gonna do a remote learning day this time, next time we're just closing school. It has to be all, until we use all of our days, and then we use a snow day.
How many days is that?
Pardon?
How many e-learning days do we have?
We have up
5? Thank you. I was right.
Is that governed by the state, or is that something that, the 5 e-learning days? Is that, who decides that?
We've only used it, I'm sorry, we've only used it once.
She's asking
Is
if
it a state
gives us
mandate?
the
Oh,
5
no,
days.
I'm sorry, so we set up the calendar for it to be that way, right? So we can use up to 5 days.
And we have an e-learning plan that has to be turned into
That's required by
ISB.
ISB.
Yep, that is required. So we work on a plan, teaching and learning, works on the plan with collaboration of others, and that plan gets submitted to ISB, and then ISB knows what we may do in the event that we need to use those days.
Is the reverse the same? So if, because like, I remember last winter, Sycamore actually used an emergency day for Lord knows why. If we use an emergency day and don't go to remote learning for whatever reason, act of God, do we then, are we stuck with using emergency days until we get to 5 before we can use an e-learning day, or is it just the e-learning first?
Sarah?
I think just to clarify some vocabulary, e-learning is what we would call like our snow days, act of God, a water main breaks, we have to close down one building. Remote learning really goes into the category if like the government or the governor says we need to shut down for a pandemic or whatever, and then there's some varieties in between, but we won't get into that for tonight for the sake of time and space. The e-learning days, as Billy said, we have 5 days that we can take. My understanding is that you could say one day, we're gonna do the e-learning day, we're gonna do another e-learning day, and then we're gonna take a snow day. Meaning we would have to make up that day at the end of the year. What Dr. Garcia Sanchez was explaining, in order to take the act of God days, where we would not have to make them up, we would have to exhaust all of our e-learning days, those 5, plus the emergency days that are on that calendar. It would be a lot. I've personally never seen it come to that. Not saying, I don't want to jinx it, and I don't want to, put out bad.
But not last year, but the year before, we did use quite a number of e-learning
Yeah, I
days.
think we used 4.
We were almost there.
That's not going to happen, though. Bad weather is contained to the weekends.
Any further questions? Hearing no further questions, do we have
Thank you,
consensus
Sarah.
to bring this back?
Yes.
All right. Item C, Diligent Elevate Conference, also presented to us by Deidre Salas. That's information.
I'm sorry, I'm like, where are we at? I've lost my spot. So the Diligent Elevate Conference is for this software right here that we use for our board meetings. The software that we use known as Board Docs. This is the software that Diligent is no longer, they're going to continue to offer it, but they're not going to continue to support it. Many school districts have already migrated into their new software called Community, and we are in the process of doing that. As of our next meeting, January 13th, we will actually be running both this board docs software as well as the community software. We think we know how to work it. Time will tell, but we want to make sure that we know how to work it. So in April of 2026, there is a conference in Atlanta, Georgia, that we would like to attend. When I came to the district, I was already familiar with board docs because I used it in a previous district. When Jackie came into this role, we worked together so that she learned it and that she also had a backup in me. Now that we're moving to community, we're all going to have a significant learning curve. So for this conference, we are looking to take 5 people. Diligent has offered us that if we register for 4, they will give us the 5th for free. So then we have to pay for travel, airfare, and accommodations for all 5. But the registration for the 5th is of no cost. Questions?
The source of the funding for this?
It is title funds.
Okay.
Grant
There
title
it is then.
funds.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just curious, with is learning software, why can't this be done just through a computer terminal where you take a course? You've done online courses. I'm trying to figure out why we would need to go to a conference for this.
So we've tried that, and we've been doing that through our migration. We've had some remote training opportunities, and that's why we think we know how to work it. We're gonna find out in January if in fact we do or do not. But there are functions even of board docs that we have not used because of enhancements or upgrades. And we wanna know the full scope and ability of the software because we wanna maximize the usage because we do pay for it. In addition to it serving as the software for our board meetings, it also holds our policies. So we wanna make sure that all of that carries over and that we're using that function effectively as well.
But I'm still not getting why you would have to go to a conference to learn why can't we train online?
So the conference is hands-on, so we are able to sit down with technicians. They walk us through scheduling board meetings, creating agenda items, and then helping us problem solve why something may or may not work. And again, we're gonna have new users that are gonna be part of it, newer even than Jackie and I, because we know board docs, in the detail. We're gonna have other new users that are gonna come in, and we just wanna make sure that everyone's fully supported. It's really about support and being able to maximize the software to its fullest.
And then our information is live, right? So if, as you're doing that, if there's an issue with what we've provided in there, then you'll be able to fix that while you're there? You'll be able to learn how to do that?
We'll learn how to fix it. We're not able to fix it because we'll be live, but we'll learn how to fix it.
We mentioned 5, so you, Jackie, who were the other 3?
Shauna, who's your backup?
Yep, myself, Jackie, Shauna, our paralegal, she supports Jackie as well with compliance. Kyle Gertis, because Kyle submits a lot of stuff. But we want to make sure that we have additional backups. And then our 5th person is Billy Wormel.
Deidre?
Yes.
I was concentrating on trying to do something with this. Did you say they do offer the online or do they not?
We've already done it. So as we are migrating into starting to use it in January, they've gotten us up to speed.
But
So
what
Jackie.
you're learning, I'm sorry,
Oh, no.
but what you're learning at this conference, there isn't the equivalent online, correct?
It is not.
Correct.
It is not. And Jackie and I actually went to Sycamore, because Sycamore has already moved over to community, and we sat with the board clerk there, and she showed us some features, and then we learned that there's some other opportunities with the features that she does not utilize, so we don't know how to work that.
All right, any more questions? Do you have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item D, request to purchase Chromebooks for one-to-one teaching and learning technology integration. This one is information and action, as we would like to get them bought at a good discount.
Okay, so yeah, this is our 13th year of the Teaching and Learning Technology Initiative, which provides one-to-one devices for all K through 12 students and teaching staff. Fostering impactful learning requires both physical and virtual tools, and the Chromebooks bridge that gap. This is the most equitable opportunity we offer our student population and necessity in our times. For this rotation cycle, we are looking at 1,700 devices. The quote is at $530.50 per device, which includes a 4-year unlimited accidental damage warranty, Google management licensing, content filtering, and an always-on hard shell case. And due to our partnership, we were able to reduce our costs over last year by $8.50, which will save us about $14,450. So for this year, the total is $901,850 for these devices. They will go to the incoming 1st, 5th, and 9th grade students, which then creates that rotation cycle.
Quick question, the last time we ordered, what was the price of the Chromebooks at the time? I know everything goes up, but I'm just curious. It's
So
$500.
$8.50 more.
Okay. So what do we do with, I assume we're gonna replace some of the old Chromebooks with this, correct?
Yeah, so what
What
ends up
happens to the old
happening, so like when a senior graduates, all those devices are collected. We refurbish the ones that we can. We actually send them out as fast as possible to get the broken ones repaired. We get those back. And then those go into the loaner pools that are used across the district. So that way when students have a broken device, they can just go to the media center. We hot swap them on the spot. So they have a functional device that day so they can continue learning, and then their device gets shipped off. But yeah, the old devices get refurbished and put back into the loaner pool. So we actually get 5, 6+ years out of some of these. It's not until after the warranty is completely up, the Chromebook's completely used up. I mean, it's broken beyond repair, and then they get recycled.
All right, any other questions?
Not a question, just a comment. And with the chaoticness of everything that just happened with that, I asked you the question about, could we have avoided it? And pretty much no.
No.
I just want to thank you for staying on top of this and saving us whatever that amount was, a lot.
Well,
So,
14,000 right now, but yeah, if we really extend this past January 1st, what we're looking at is an additional 15% increase over that $901,000. So then we're in the $1 million mark. And I really, really don't want to do that. And my concern moving forward is what next year is going to look like. Because quite frankly, just memory costs alone within the past month have gone up 50%. And it's gone up that much because all the memory is going towards data centers. And when all the memory is gone and the processors and the hardware, you have supply, demand, and scarcity, and then things become very, very expensive very quickly.
All right. Since this is information action, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, Jackie, roll call.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Mark Sherbot.
Yes.
Nancy Bynum. Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Cherfaz.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is item E, also information action, staffing request for an athletic trainer, 1 FTE for 200 days. I know Peter's been waiting for this one, so.
Well, I learn stuff every time I come here, a lot of math. And I just got done with learning how to do board docs, and they're changing that on me now. So, let me get here. There it is. Okay. As you can see, with what I'm asking for is that we hire a 200-day athletic trainer position. Just a little background on what we've had. Before what we had is that we had a staff member, it was through a differential. Well, that staff member moved on and the differential really never ever was filled, and we outsourced to Northwestern Medicine. So kind of go full circle here is that our Northwestern outsource, that person had to go leave for medical reasons, and now we're just having someone fill in for him right now. What we would like to do is bring this person on full-time, 200 days. We're going to kind of prorate it for the rest of the year, and then moving forward, we would have a athletic trainer in-house at DeKalb. They would be at DeKalb High School for 200 days. They would work the school calendar, and then what we would do is use Northwestern to fill in during the summers. So that's in a nutshell of what we're doing.
A few questions. What are we currently paying for, or what were we currently paying annually for the differentials? Because right now, this position looks like the salary and benefits could be up to 86,000 a year. What
So-
kind of dollars are we currently putting forward?
So what we had is when we had the staff member who did the differential,
Right, yeah.
he was making $45,000 for the year, which is roughly 15,000 per season. And then when we used them when we used that person in the summer, we would timesheet them. Now, since he's left, we have not touched that differential for 2 years, roughly saving, I mean, now it's down on one of my little note cards. What we had, and I have to put mine on too, is that we had 27,000 for the differential for the first year one, which is 9,000 per season. So that's what we have not used for the last 2 years through the differential. We're taking the differential away and wanting to come to a 1.0 unaffiliated.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand the numbers. You threw a bunch. So right now, last year, let's say last calendar year, we paid how much for the differential for the position?
We did not pay any last year for the
What,
differential.
what is Northwestern's contracted person?
Northwestern's contract is $22 per hour. And the last two that we've done with them, well, this last year, is that January 25 through April 2025, we had 721 hours at $22 an hour. It was 15,862. And the last bill from May to October, this past October, it was 724 hours at $22 an hour for 15,928. And I believe that took us to right around, it looks like 31,790.
Okay, so we're going from 31,000 to 86,000.
But that was one person with us adding 3 sports. Just the other day, I talked to the person who stepped in, they got like 30, we have 40 people in there trying to get ready before practice, to get triage, to get ice, to get taped and stuff like that. So we've been kind of doing it with one person since that teacher left, which really is not meeting the needs of our student athletes. Because we have close to over 1,000 people, 1,000 students that participate per year in our athletics, and we added girls flag football, girls wrestling, and now this spring we have boys volleyball.
Just to be clear, the hours that you've mentioned, those are hours while there's a game going on or they're getting ready for a game? Does it include any additional off, like if they're in training, if something happens during the day, I'm just curious.
It's usually they get there at 2 o'clock or so, and we're there for practices when there's only practices, or when we have events. That's when they are there.
I guess follow-up question on my end real quick. With our health insurance, because I know when I was at least an athlete, any injuries or things that we sustained as an athlete within the district, anything our personal health insurance did not cover, we could bring back to the district and bill to the district's insurance as well,
Then we
correct?
have Gerber, and then that picks up what is not picked up by the student athletes.
So we also do have the indirect savings in that if we have a athletic trainer who's there full-time, our students, instead of having to, one, interrupt their educational setting and leave the building to go see a physical therapist or go see a chiropractor, can now go see an athletic trainer at no cost to them or their insurance during the day, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
I recognize it's more money too, but I do think it's important that we consider making sure that the student athletes are well taken care of, especially the number we have. And based on, the research I was doing into this, I think we're the only team in our conference that doesn't have a full-time certified athletic trainer on their staff in their district already. So it would behoove us, I think, to make sure our athletes are getting at least the same level of care that their competition is getting.
Well, that was gonna be my next question. So comparative districts do have full-time athletic trainers?
Yes.
So-
Well, just to compare to what we have at Sycamore is that they have a full-time trainer that's there. Plus they have another trainer from Northwestern there. This last fall, we had 35 activities here on our campus with 2 or 3 events going on at the same time. And we've only done it with 1, but the 2, then we're making sure that everyone is taken care of.
Peter, sometimes a contractor is actually less than a full-time employee. Most of the times it's more. Back of the math, how much are we saving if we were to give the same number of hours contracted to Northwestern?
Well, it's $22 an hour. It's moving up to 25.
Okay, so at $25 an hour,
Yes.
having them work full-time, same amount of time that we're doing this, real quick. I see Deidre throwing that out there, so.
She.
But the ones that we were having from Northwestern weren't with us full-time.
That's,
They were
right,
on-
that's
on
why.
as-
So they were
Exactly
leaving.
that.
Yes, as needed.
Right.
When
Right,
we
this is back
had,
of the
when,
As needed, right.
when we had that stipend position, we had both there.
So, as a 10-month employee, if we were to pay, it comes out to close, $41,000 with Northwestern. However, we have not been able to fill this as a differential because of the needs of license and certification. So they must be a certified athletic trainer. We were fortunate that we did have a staff member in the district that held that license and then did the differential. Since that person left the district, that's why we've not been able to fill it. We did for a short time have someone that recently graduated come in and fill the position for
About 2-3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks and then was like, I can't do this. So we've not been able to fill it as a differential. And so that's another contributing factor into why we're looking at making it a FTE position.
Because we want to try to keep somebody in-house because there is a huge shortage of athletic trainers throughout nationwide.
Is this competitive enough that we'll get it filled?
Yeah.
So the hours of the day this person would be working is from 2 PM, you said, until?
2 PM till
So that the
everyone,
last kid goes home.
until I leave and,
Okay.
and the kids leave. Yeah.
Other questions?
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Jackie, roll call.
Kristen Bailey? Yes. Nick Atwood?
Yes.
Steve Byers?
Yes.
Jose Jaquez?
Yes.
Christopher Boyce?
Yes.
Mark Servat?
Yes.
Deante Bynum?
All right.
Thank you.
Item F, Courageous Principals Leadership Development Program. This is information item presented to us by Dr. Minerva Garcia Sanchez.
It's me? Okay, all right. Well, as mentioned earlier, when JJ asked the question about, why the second time, so just to reiterate without having to, do it all over again. We were able to get additional title money that now allows us to be able to send the rest of the crew that hasn't been able to go to Courageous Principals 2. By sending them now, all of the academic individuals will now have that opportunity. So it's student family services staff and the teaching and learning staff that will now have that opportunity to have both. And now they will also have the full coverage of the professional development that all of our principals, assistant principals, dean, and most of our cabinet have.
All right, any questions?
Oh, and I'm sorry, and that's for April. This would be for the April trip.
Paid for from title funds. All right. Hearing no questions, do we have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Item G, Adelante MS by Literacy Curriculum Work PD Agreement presented to us by AJ Crook and Sarah Montgomery.
Good evening again. AJ is going to talk to you today about partnership and continued work that we will have with Adelante to help with our two-way dual language roll out through the middle school.
Thanks, Sarah. Good evening. It is that time of year where we start planning summer professional development and spring professional development. And as you know, our two-way dual language program is up to 5th grade. We're currently writing the 6th grade curriculum for implementation next year. So we always plan a year in advance. So what we're asking for is a partnership with Adelante to continue our work together for finishing 6th grade this summer. That'll take 3 days. and then 5 days for writing 7th grade curriculum. And it keeps us in alignment beyond writing curriculum. It provides professional development to specific biliteracy strategies that teachers need to use to implement two-way dual language programming.
Any questions? Hearing no questions, we have consensus to bring this back.
Yes.
Item H, DHS new course proposal, transitional math, quantitative literacy statistics, presented to us by.
Sarah and Amy.
All right.
It's me again. I'd like to turn the microphone and the stage over to Amy Broadcorp, our secondary STEAM manager, to talk about what we call QL and stats, quantitative literacy and statistics, a new course offering for our high school students.
Hi, good evening. So we are proposing that we get this translation, the QL stats class for the high school for next year. We're proposing this course. Some information. The transitional classes, it's Illinois state law that we offer them. What the QL stats does for us is it really opens the door for a large majority of our students course offering for their senior year. So I think this graphic right here is probably the best pathway. So we're looking at the orange. We have a lot of courses in place for our STEM kids, our upper level kids to take their senior level class, like pre-calc and calculus. This is really for those kids that are not STEM bound. So that's pretty much a large majority of our students. What this class does is they can take it their senior year, and it's kind of like taking a free 99 level college course, because the Illinois colleges then will recognize it and allow the student to automatically enter their freshman year of college into a 100 level math course. And if you look at the stats, a lot of kids are not meeting that threshold. So by taking this course, if they pass it, which is a C or better, they're able to do that. So we're just asking to bring this course on. It fills a large gap in our curriculum. Placement in the course, you have to be, again, a senior, and you have to have all 3 years of your graduation required math courses completed. The nice thing is there's not much cost because there's not a lot of materials. The students would just use their Chromebook, and the teacher is just requesting a teacher book. And there's no course fees for the students, and really the fees would be for the teacher to write that curriculum. Everything's online, so using the book, the textbook, and the online resources, it would cost $525 for them to do that. Any questions?
A real steal.
Yes, I agree.
Any questions?
I just have one quick question. The 99 level, that's what you said, right? The college courses, those are the ones that are not, like, they have to pay for them, but they don't actually get college credit for them, right?
Correct.
Which is a huge barrier to college entrance for a lot of kids.
We have, if you look at it, there's about 30 to 40% of entering freshmen who have to take 99 level courses. And so you do pay, but they do not count towards your degree. So by doing this, they're allowing them to start right into that 100 level course. Anything else?
I have a question, but I don't mean any insult by it, but and I agree with doing this, I'm just trying to understand.
Okay.
If we're having to provide an additional class to get them to the level to start at 100 level classes, and for how many decades people just graduated high school and they went to 100 level classes, where did this shortfall happen? Are we talking about 6th grade, 5th grade?
No, there's a lot of reasons. So first of all, we are only required, it used to be 2 years of math in high school to graduate, now it's 3. So what happens is if you take freshman, sophomore, junior year math and you don't take a class your senior year, guess what happens to your math skills? And then you go and take your placement test, and then you place into those classes. So that's a lot of what's happening, is you see there's a gap, and then they're not taking something, or they're not taking the appropriate class their senior year. So now they're taking a placement test that is placing them into those lower level math courses. What this does is it makes sure that we are giving them the topics and the materials that they need to, when they take that placement test, they will test into and be ready for that 100 level course. So that is kind of where we're seeing that gap happen. that's just the nature of math, you know, especially if you're not a STEM person, you know, you lose the skills. And so this is kind of just making sure we're keeping those skills fresh. And then the colleges are saying, hey, if you're doing that job for us the senior year and they're taking it senior year, we're going to just believe that they're gonna be ready now to take on that 100-level course.
It's filling a gap for some students who might not take that fourth year of math, making sure that they have a place to land.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Hearing no other questions, do we have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
And last item is item I, staffing request DHS drivers education, 0.4 FTE. This guy is info in action presented to us by Sarah.
Yep, and Donna said that she'd gladly join me if I needed assistance, but I'm good, Donna. So this is information in action because this is important to our timeline to start second semester. Driver's ed is a very sticky class where there are many different requirements and moving components to it. So there are classroom hours that need to be completed, and then there are behind-the-wheel hours that need to be completed. The behind-the-wheel hours take, I would say, a considerable amount of time. And we have looked at this over the last, I'm gonna say 4 years, because I said, Dr. Larson, I don't ever want to talk about driver's ed again. I got 3 years, let's not talk about it, let's come up with a long-term solution for this. This is the long-term solution, because we run out of hours during the school year, kids get backlogged, I'm giving you the high view summary here. They get backlogged, then they get pushed to the following year. Then we're trying to bring in our current freshmen, our current sophomores, and the juniors and seniors that didn't finish it up, and it creates a snowball effect of problems. Increasing this FTE that we had started last year to a 1.0 for the second semester and for years to come will develop that long-term solution that we really need. We're also looked at how do we support students that don't pass it the first time, that they don't take the full class again. They will just take the classroom portion because that's what needed. That is what is needed to graduate high school and per the ISB requirements of mandated units. That will also help us. That's a high view.
Just for clarity, this is a 0.6 position that we are now requesting
The
become a
0.4,
one-
yep, to
add
make
the
it
0.4
1.0.
to make it whole.
Correct. So we stop Band-Aiding because it's just kicking the can further down the road to make a bigger problem.
Any questions?
Down the road.
Yes, but I'm bummed.
Hearing no questions, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
Mark Schubert.
Yes.
Nancy Bynum. Yes. Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
All right. Dr. Minerva Garcia Sanchez.
Okay, so I'll make this quick and sweet. Today is December 16th? Yes? Okay. Friday is December 19th, which means that is the last day that children and staff will be in the district before the winter break. So everyone will be on winter break from the school buildings that are certified staff. There are staff that will be in buildings and at the Ed Center. The Ed Center will be open on the 22nd and the 23rd. Individuals may or may not be here, depending if they choose to take vacation. But on the 24th, 25th, and 26th, this building will be closed. And then the 31st, 1st, and 2nd, right? This building will be closed.
Monday, Tuesday.
Because the Saturday's the 3rd. So the district reopens on January 5th. Everybody should be ready to rock and roll on the 5th to finish second semester strong, because once that starts, we're all waiting for spring break, and then spring break comes, and then we're ready to finish the school year strong. So please relax, enjoy, have a great holiday, and peace and joy to everyone. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, and anything else I missed. Feliz Navidad.
All right. Before I close the meeting, just going to give one super quick update, as I'm sure the community is aware. Board of Education did conduct our community interviews this last weekend. We are currently in the process of making the selection for our new superintendent based on that final round. We will have more updates to follow within the coming weeks. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Merry Christmas, happy